Okay, Aaron, we're gonna just go through the settings real quick. First thing we're gonna do, you can use your head tracking once you get it all set up to use all your menu, as you can see, but you can also use your mouse, even though you can't see it, you can still use it. Let's go to options. We'll go to graphics. You can see 2160 by 1200. Field of view is 110. Everything else, if you want it on, turn on, it really doesn't matter. One thing you need to remember is you can edge peek. We're using vorpX, and what that does, it takes the screen away, so if you can't see it or you can't get to it, just edge peek it out. Now, you edge peek, default is either your middle mouse button, just click it, or you can on your controllers, or if you're using like me, I use the Xbox 360, the right stick, just a quick press is will edge peek it too, so just use your edge peek. Now, if you're using full VR mode, key bindings you'll want to change. You'll want to go to flight, you'll want advanced. In movement, you want to make sure pitch up, pitch down, pitch, all this stuff, your mouse, disconnect your mouse. If you don't, whenever you move your head, you'll still steer your ship, which is really not a good idea, okay? Believe me, it will mess you up, and you'll want to look, and you'll try to use head tracking, and your ship will steer left, right, pitch, yaw, all that stuff. So make sure flight movement, all your mouse movements are disconnected, okay? That's all we have to do that I can remember right now in Star Citizen. Okay, now we'll go in here. We'll just hit the delete key and we'll bring up main settings. All right, I'm in full VR mode. 3D reconstruction is geometry. They have something turned off in the 3D column somewhere in the build where 3D is not good in the PTU, unlike the PU. So I have the 3D strength scale. I'm in the PTU right now. I have it set at 1. 3D field of view enhancement, like I say, that just more or less tunnels you. You can set it to 0 as default. The more you increase it, the more depth it'll have. But that only works. This feature is only in geometry mode. If you're in Z normal mode, it does not work. You have 3D strength and you have depth wane near and far. Set it to your preference. 50.50 is fine. I've played with it, doesn't make a whole lot of difference. Focal distance, set it where you can get the best view. But as I said, I normally run it in geometry. Camera height modifier works in FPS mode if you're on the ground. However, if you're sitting in your cockpit seat, it will not work. It won't change anything. Main eye is just so you close one eye when you look down your rifle. You can set it so you're actually looking down one sight by it. Undoes your dual vision there. I don't use it at all. I don't find it necessary. Head tracking in I use it 150 in geometry. If I'm using Z normal, I'm usually about 1.75. Your image zoom zooms your image in and out. I use 0.45. You can back it out and you can bring it in really close. You can only back it out so far, which is 4.0. Some people find that fine. I like to bring it in just a little closer, not necessary. Background color is just exactly what it says. You can change it to ambience or none. Okay, everything else, gamma brightness you will find. You can probably leave saturation and brightness alone. I have to change them because I stream. Like right now I'm running off the Oculus mirror. It will be darker in the mirror than it will be on my HUD, so I had to play with it to get it adjusted. Let's see, display settings, you'll want direct mode mirrors off. Leave direct mode async render on, fluid sync on, and GPU sync is on safest, and leave tracking prediction on. This 3D strength multiplier and the edge scale is how much you'll get 3D when you pop it out. The edge scale is how far you pop it out. Okay, one other thing you'll probably want to do, head tracking, like I say, all the thing you'll have to mess with is your sensitivity. So you get the head tracking you want. Then you'll get Oculus Touch settings. If you're using controllers, you can use them. I don't use them for this game. I use a Xbox 360 controller, so I have them turned off. Now, input settings, this is actually for your gamepad. First thing you want to do, that I do, is I override Xbox gamepad full. That means that it ignores Star Citizen's game mapping for the controller. The reason I do that, if I don't, whenever I use my right stick, it'll take off on funny tangents because it's trying to double input. So what I do is I override the Xbox gamepad, and then I change my mapping, and then I remapped it however I want it. It's easy to change to map, and then map the buttons what you want them to do. You can copy exactly what Star Citizen uses. The only difference is it will not screw up your right stick movement when you go to look around with your right stick or something. So it's very highly recommended that you do override it and then reset up the key bindings for yourself. Back to gamepad settings. Everything else you can leave alone. And then here's hotkey that you can have set up hotkeys for vorpX menu and stuff like that. I don't hardly ever use it. I never change it once I've set it up, so it's not a big problem. And then we're back, and that's basically everything that you need to know. I'm assuming you have an Oculus or a Vive. They work both the same way. If you're using a Windows mixed reality, I'm not sure. I know they work, but I don't know how much difference they are because I don't have one. But you should be able to move your cursors, even, you see, then just hit an enter button. Or you can, like I say, remember, if you can't see it or you can't look far enough, especially in a menu because it doesn't pan, just hit your edge page key, move it out. Now you can take your cursor with your head tracking all the way to the edge of your screen. And regardless with the mouse, you can do that. As you can see, I'm using the mouse now, not my head tracking, and I can hit everything with my mouse, or I can edge track and I can use my head tracking to do the same thing. Okay, can't think of anything else, then you just load her up just like you would normally do. Just click it just like you would on your desktop and just enter in, and you'll be good to go. I can't think of anything else that you might need to know. Like I say, it may be a little difference if you're using a WMR instead of an HMD for an Oculus or a Vive, but Oculus and Vive both work the same way in this game. And that's how when you said I wasn't sure what controllers you were using when you said you couldn't get to your menus, couldn't reach it, and it may have been because you weren't using your edge peak and popping it out. If you're using your mouse, you should have been able to reach them anyway. If you have it too close, of course it cuts off your menu. That's why you don't want to bring it too far. Immersive mode that's what it does. You can't see your chat, you can't see nothing. So I don't use immersive mode. It's just too close to your screen. You can't even zoom it out far enough to make it right. So I use full immersive mode, full VR mode, and I know the profile says don't use it, but that was years ago, and we've worked with it long enough now that it works just fine in full VR mode, whether you're FPS or you're in your cockpit. Okay, that's all I can think of. We'll go ahead and get out of here and get this posted. Well,